No. No.
Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. Well, hello and welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today. Welcome to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. I am your host, Felicia Lockhart. So great to have each and every one of you with me. We're going to look at a few stories today that I feel are sort of concerning, and here's why. Because it looks like all around the world, it's the same song, specifically this part of the world, the United States, North America. Hello again. Please, before we get started, I want to make sure that you know how to find us if this is your first time here in the future. And that is by clicking that subscribe button and then making sure that if you like it, please do. That allows the algorithm to send more people our way. And it also allows you the opportunity to know exactly when we go live here. Wow, we got a lot of stuff, you guys. Let me tell you something. We had a really good show this week. We're going to have a really good show next week. So I hope everybody is prepared for our live next week. I'm not even going to tell you, but I will say this much. We had a really good show. But once I started to look at everything, I said, there's so many other stories around the United States right now where there are municipalities, where there are attorneys, lawyers, municipalities, judges, as well as governors and mayors and all these different people that are doing some stuff. So we have a host of stories that we're going to look at today. We're first of all going to take a look at the West Coast. We're going to look at as far out as Charlotte, North Carolina. We're looking everywhere. Here's why. Because there is a recurring theme right now, and it's not just in specific areas. We've been beating up Dalton. I feel bad for my friends from Dalton. I feel bad for you guys because every time you turn around, somebody dragging your name through the mud, saying what's going on in your city. But let me tell you guys, we got some stories tonight that'll share with you just how bad it is throughout the United States as a whole. The first story that we have right here, we're going to start out with something small, and then we're going to grow up to the bigger one. So this is a Grants mayor that was convicted of battery against a city council member. Let's just take a look.
The mayor of New Mexico City was convicted of battery for hitting a city council member. News 13's Marilyn Upchurch was in Grants today. She has more from the victim's attorney, who says this case shows that no one is above the law.
This is the green chili mafia type of behavior where you just gang up and try to go forward and moving the city of Grants forward. But I am trying to move this forward, as you all see. And we will be the safest, cleanest community.
That's Grants Mayor Eric Garcia in a city council meeting last summer, accusing the city councilors at the meeting of conspiring against him. City Councilor George Garcia says after the meeting, the mayor attacked him physically.
After the meeting, my client, George, was standing within a doorway in which Mayor Garcia had moved in to walk past him in the doorway. And that's whenever he shoved him with his elbow.
According to court documents, the mayor elbowed Councilor George Garcia in the back after the meeting was over. George Garcia went to the hospital after the incident. The councilor claims the mayor also dropped an F-bomb and called him a name.
It's embarrassing, but he does feel that the mayor does need to be held accountable, and hopefully that this teaches him that this kind of conduct isn't appropriate and isn't going to be tolerated by someone in such a position.
Robert Zamora, the attorney for Councilor Garcia, says the incident last May occurred after a disagreement between the mayor and councilors on the appointment of a mayor pro tem.
Well, I'm a little shocked about our first discussion action item that you didn't want to be mayor pro temp, and how you guys collaborate and are trying to continue to do this little nonsense of whatever you guys are trying to do to me. The city of Grants has not grown in a few years due to kind of stuff like this.
A judge found the mayor guilty of battery and ordered him to write Councilor Garcia an apology. The mayor will also have to pay $50 to a local domestic violence prevention group. Today was the first city council meeting since last week's conviction. We reached out to city council members to see if there are any plans to address the leadership role of the mayor. We have not heard back.
It is a battery charge, but it is still important that the message is sent that no one's above the law, whether you're the mayor of a city or what kind of influence that you have.
Marilyn Upchurch, KRQE, News 13.
KRQE did speak with the mayor today. He declined to comment on the charges.
Well, I'm sure he did decline the comment. So now we've got a little bit more going on here. Let's take another look. Got some more stuff, you guys. And I can still hear the last recording in my head. It just drives me nuts. I still hear it. Okay. Shh, be quiet. Stop. For those of you who use StreamYard, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so the next story, I don't want to get to that one yet. What I want to do is get to this one first. And I'm going to come back over and clear it out. The reason why I don't want to do this story first is because we're going somewhere. We're going someplace. And so I want to do this one first. It is upside down here. Nonetheless, I'm going to go on ahead and start here. This is a trip. So the reason why this one's a trip to me is because they went behind the door and they had a meeting. And by they, I mean this city council. Take a look and see exactly why this might mean something to you, because you may have seen city councils and groups, mayors and whatnot, go behind closed doors recently. But just take a look at this right here and we'll be right back with our commentary.
We object on behalf of the public. Can you state the reason for this executive session?
City financial affairs.
A city council will not tell the public about tax dollars it can't find.
Is it $1 million? Right at $1 million? Are these COVID relief funds? I mean,
sir, you didn't want no disruption. We got to have a meeting, sir.
Oh, the meeting hadn't started yet. As soon as it starts, I'll be orderly.
so we're not going to do that tonight at the meeting. We're following our agenda, regardless of what you're planning on putting out.
1 week before budget deadline, a South Carolina city cannot account for federal COVID money. The city will also not tell the public how much or how the city lost track of it.
And the city council also tried to discuss this in secret, but our chief investigative reporter, Jody Barr, caught them and then stopped that discussion last week. Now the clock is ticking to get this budget done. Here's our behind closed doors investigation.
Mr. Simon, how big is the shortfall? $1 million, million plus, just under $1 million?
Where's your cameraman tonight?
Right here.
Bennettsville City Manager William Simon refused to talk about it. A financial problem that led City Council to call a special meeting 1 week ago to talk through some sort of budget problem.
So with that, I will just say we've combed through some of our accounts, some of our federal accounts, and we are still in the process of accounting for all of the funds. I will say too, especially for our public, that this issue that we ran into recently, it's not a new issue. As most of you know, and our public needs to know, is that we've had some turnover in some of our departments in the last 3 to 4 years since this money was awarded to us. And since then, we've taken a number of steps to make sure that we had good accounting of those funds.
The only thing Simon would confirm is the missing money is from a COVID relief fund, but he would not specify which fund or how much is unaccounted for.
Because you're very vague here. I'm not sure the public would understand.
We're not going to do that tonight at the meeting.
Why not?
But I'll be happy to sit down with you or anyone else at some point and clarify things concerning our budget process. We're absolutely willing to do that. But tonight, we're following our agenda, regardless of what you're planning on putting out.
Tonight, we have our auditor, Mr. Bob Millhouse, here to present our audit to us.
In February, the city got a stellar grade from its outside auditor, Bill Millhouse, a man who's looked at the city's books for more than a decade.
In my opinion, these financial statements of the government activities are, in my opinion, fairly stated in compliance with accounting principles. This is a unmodified opinion, the highest assurance that you, as members of council and the mayor, can receive on your financial statements for last year.
The auditor gave no indication during his 30-minute presentation there was any problem with the city's finances. Millhouse also never responded to our request for an interview about the city's newly discovered problem.
And we will entertain any questions to the best of our ability.
But not one member of the Bennettsville City Council, including the mayor, asked a single question or attempted to inform the public of what's going on with these unaccounted for tax dollars. And we tried yet again to ask the city administrator to just come clean.
Well, we got 28 minutes before your next meeting. Is it $1 million? Right at $1 million? Are these COVID relief funds? I mean, sounds pretty serious. I'm sure the public would like a little transparency on what exactly is going on here, because it sounds pretty dire.
Well, we also found another violation of the Open Meetings Act last week. The city did not post public notice of its special called meeting here in the 24 hours required by state law. Instead, the city posted the agenda to its Facebook page just 5 hours before this meeting, which would be a violation of the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. When we questioned the city and the city attorney about that, the city attorney simply changed the name of this special called meeting to an emergency meeting, which does not require a 24-hour notice. Council is set to meet here tonight at 6:30, where the only item on the agenda is to discuss the budget. Now, the city may or may not tell the public what's behind this accounting issue here tonight. From Bennettsville, Jody Barr, Queen City News investigates.
So as you can see, there seems to be a lot of problems with different entities having transparency with the people. I don't know where this started, but I've got a slew of stories that we're going to cut straight through. Now, I need to let everybody know that we're only using these news articles and these clips specifically for commentary. I'm trying to juxtapose all of what we're seeing to what we've been seeing to show you that it's all over. It is rampant. It's not just one area. It's not just one city. The next thing that we're looking at is going to be in Riverdale. Now, that's Riverdale, Illinois. And somebody says something about a sun law. No, we ain't got no sun law. We got the sun shining over here. We got these lights over here. And until the sun go down a little bit, we gonna have the sun. How about that? Hey, all right. So let me give you guys the next story, because I want us to come all the way up through where we're going next. So the next story that we're looking at is, I do want to look at the Riverdale story, if I can find that one. There it is right there. So we're going to progress. Let's go on ahead and get this going.
Now to a CBS 2 political investigation. The FBI confirms it searched the home of Riverdale Mayor Lawrence Jackson today. A source tells CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozlov the search may be related to work the mayor is doing on his home. However, the FBI will not confirm that information. Dana is working this developing story, and we will bring you more information once it is available.
Okay.
Exclusive access as U.S. Secret Service agents went hunting for skimming devices.
Oh, no, I don't want to look at that, but that looks like it's going to be good. Here's the next one coming out of that city. There you go. All right, here we go. I'm just going to keep showing them, and then we're going to keep talking about it. Here goes the next one out of that same city. All right, where they're dealing with Riverdale. So we got Riverdale High. Thank you for that. I appreciate you for supporting the channel. Thank you so much, Black Spring with Autumn. I so appreciate that. Now, this is what I call the pot calling the kettle black. This cat right here, I saw this fella, and I've seen him sitting inside of the Dalton
Federal
meeting.
indictment has been filed now against
Guy,
the
I'll
village
show
of
you.
Riverdale's Mayor Lawrence Jackson. Jackson has been in the spotlight for years in connection with a legal fight over a garbage pickup in the south suburb.
That's where Jewel Hillary joins us live with more details. Jewel.
Hi, Mike and Ray. According to the indictment, Mayor Jackson faces 1 count of perjury and 1 count of obstruction of justice.
Riverdale is a community located directly south of the city of Chicago.
For years now, Riverdale Mayor Lawrence Jackson has been under tight surveillance. This fuzzy video from a viewer is from May 2022 when the FBI raided Jackson's house. A day before the raid, federal prosecutors sent a subpoena to the village of Riverdale for business records related to Tri-State Disposal, a waste management company located at 138th and Ashland in Riverdale that at one time was the village's contracted garbage pickup company. Now, suspicions about the village and Mayor Jackson's alleged illegal business practices are exposed in a federal indictment filed on November 1st. As WGN Investigates reported last year, Tri-State Disposal filed a 2018 civil lawsuit against Mayor Jackson and the village. According to the indictment, the suit alleges that in November 2017, Mayor Jackson caused Riverdale to give preferential treatment to another company by unlawfully allowing the village to issue a zoning permit permitting a recycling and waste business to operate. The indictment cites that after the owners of Tri-State spoke out during public hearings against the permit being issued, Jackson retaliated against the company by refusing to renew its garbage contract. Riverdale residents we talked to say the indictment against Jackson marks the beginning of a fresh start for the community.
It's a 100% new start because you took advantage of something that was blessed, was given to you. And you took advantage of it. Not only did you take advantage of it, you took advantage of the people. And so we the people that put you in, but we the people that take you out. I currently ran this past election for trustee, for transparency and change. And this current mayor put out a lot of nasty, dirty things about me. And I simply told the residents this day was coming. And I had the article of when the FBI had raided his house and told him that he was currently under investigation.
Okay. So the problem was that I was chatting over here without this mic open. And what I was trying to say was, I don't know whether you guys have seen that other guy, the Michael Smith guy, but I did see him at a Dalton meeting when I was watching one of the tapes or one of the actual live streams. And he gets up, and what he does, from what I've seen, is apparently he looks like he is a proponent of the city of Dalton, the village of Dalton's mayor, even though he's not from that area. Does that make sense? So he's a big, big fan of hers, and he'll go and try to correct the people of Dalton from what I've seen with their, they need to just be thankful that they have a mayor that does X, Y, or Z because our mayor, this and that. So just imagine my shock when I seen this cat sitting up here, obviously gloating over what happened to this man. I'm not gloating about none of them. The reason why I'm showing it is because I think that it sings a really big song for all of us. I'm going to replay his stuff for us to realize that locally we got some house cleaning to do. So let's go back here and listen to him.
And this current mayor put out a lot of nasty, dirty things about me. And I simply told the residents this day was coming. And I had the article of when the FBI had raided his house and told him that he was currently under investigation.
A representative with the Village of Riverdale says the village does not have a comment on the indictment. Also, I talked to Mark LaRose, the attorney who represents Tri-State Disposal, and he says that this indictment doesn't surprise him. Reporting live in Riverdale tonight, I'm Jewel Hillary, WGN News.
Thank you, Jewel. Federal indictment has been filed now against Village of Riverdale's Mayor Lawrence Jackson.
So we see that, we see who this cat is, we see what happened with him. Now we're going to go up. We're going to come all the way up. We got to keep going. So right now what we're going to do is show you the progression. We're going to show you how this situation started in the media, and then this next issue went from there. This is the Bay Area mayor.
It's been 48 hours since the FBI raided the home of Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao, along with at least 2 other locations, and the mayor is nowhere to be seen.
We still don't know exactly what the FBI was looking for. Yesterday, we heard the mayor's side of the story, sort of. She did hire an attorney, former prosecutor Tony Brass. He suggested that there is no evidence that Tao is actually the target of the FBI investigation and that she had no idea it was even happening.
It was my assumption that she would have been asked for information or documents or devices if they were needed, and that she must have refused that if they got a search warrant. So I'm quite surprised that the search warrant was the first she'd heard of this investigation. The optics are bad, but the fact is that she is going to cooperate with the investigation, and she would have done that in the first place.
Brass also said Mayor Tao is working from a remote location because of the media circus around the raids, and that she will release a statement sometime next week. A former chief of staff for Tao believes she should resign following the raid at her home. Agents interviewed her about a year ago. While the FBI hasn't linked Mayor Tao to any kind of wrongdoing, the former confidant of the mayor spoke out. Dalton joins us now in studio with more on this developing story. Da?
That's right. I first met this former chief of staff, Miss Rania Webb, back in November 2022 during a Sheng Tao campaign event. A few months later, she contacted me saying that, hey, I resigned from the Tao office because of concerns over pay to play allegations. And I asked her for evidence at the time. It was just her words. Fast forward to this Thursday, the FBI raid. We decided to talk to her again. This is Miss Webb's side of the story.
And then they said I met her at her birthday party that she had up in Montclair.
Rania Webb worked closely with and had access to Sheng Tao that few people had for a year and 4 months. Webb served as Tao's right-hand person, working as chief of staff when Tao was the District 4 council member. Webb says she volunteered and spent countless hours on Tao's mayoral campaign in 2022. She says she also led Tao's transition team after Tao won the election.
A lot of what's coming out now is the reason I resigned shortly thereafter winning the election.
She was more sad than surprised about FBI agents raiding Tao's home on Thursday.
I wasn't surprised. I was like, finally the truth is coming out.
Webb accuses Tao's boyfriend, Andre Jones, of being the mastermind and running pay-to-play schemes during Tao's campaign for mayor and after she won.
I had found out that Andre, her boyfriend, was promising people jobs in our administration, promising people appointments on different commissions and boards from out of the mouths of people that told me they were promised positions, they were promised board positions, and at the mouth of what they would always, Andre, you know, that.
Now, did you just see him put a bug in her ear while she was standing there? He literally just turned around and said something to her and then turned back around. This guy, Andre, that they're referencing. Let's take a look back at that again. Okay, let's see. And another thing that I thought was very unique with this situation, she was a part of a delegation or led a delegation to go into Vietnam and for a Vietnamese business group to get business to bring back to Oakland, California. So I don't exactly know, but the next story that we look at is going to give us a little insight as to exactly what it was that they were collecting when they went to these houses. But take a look as we go back and see this guy, Andre, that this young lady is referencing. Look at his behavior.
It's on different commissions and boards from out of the mouths of people that told me they were promised positions, they were promised board positions, and at the mouth of what they would always, Andre, that was who they would say, Andre promised me this.
Webb
Did you guys see
Jones
it?
was controlling and calling the shots. She says Tao went along with him.
It's sad. He's making her do things, pushing her to do things that I don't believe she would do otherwise. I just really don't.
Webb says Jones and Tao met when they worked for council member Rebecca Kaplan. Jones was Kaplan's chief of staff and Tao was an intern.
When I first mentioned to Shang at the house that got raided yesterday, that people were coming to me, what Andre had promised them. And her response to me was, just ignore Andre. You're going to be making close to $200,000. Just ignore it. And it just hurt my heart. Like, I just looked at her and I told her, I don't care about the money.
After Tao won the election in November, Webb says she resigned on New Year's Eve 2022. She says in early 2023, she complained to the city council and the Public Ethics Commission about the pay-to-play allegation. She says the council ignored her complaint. The Ethics Commission sent a follow-up email requesting evidence, but Webb could not produce physical evidence, so that complaint went nowhere. Webb says Tao at the time denied all the accusations, telling others Webb was disgruntled, had mental health issues, and made up lies.
What sense would it make that I would help her win the election, run her transition team, and then all of a sudden I just lose my mind?
The FBI contacted Webb and interviewed her for 2.5 hours on February 3rd, 2023. She says agents asked a lot of questions about Tao's campaign funding.
It was about campaign contributions, about some of the appointments, like to the port.
Webb says the FBI agents did not offer specifics about their investigation at the time, and she doesn't know if the FBI raid is related to the pay-to-play allegation. The FBI remains tight-lipped about the raid at Tao's home. While the FBI has not accused Tao or Jones of any wrongdoing, Webb believes Tao should resign.
I texted her and told her I'm praying for her, but we still have to deal with the consequences of our behaviors, and I just hope she gets the help that she needs.
I asked Tao's attorney, Tony Brass, about the pay-to-play allegation. He did not respond to my email. We try to get Andre Jones' side of the story as well. He has so far declined to talk to the media.
Well, here
It's
goes
unclear if Jones.
Here goes a little bit more to this story here. So let's just take a look at this.
Oaklanders and people beyond Oakland even have been waiting very patiently to hear what the mayor would say after the FBI raided her home. At first, she was radio silent, but today she spoke, and she was defiant, even emotional in her claims of innocence. But people didn't even get long to process what she had to say before the next big twist in this story. Katie Nielsen has more on why the mayor's lawyer dropped her as a client.
Tony Brass became Mayor Tao's attorney last Friday, the day after FBI agents were seen searching her home and carrying out what appeared to be boxes of documents. But after a press conference today, Brass says he called the mayor to say, I quit.
I have not been charged with a crime, and I am confident that I will not be charged with a crime because I am innocent.
This is only part.
You guys, it's something when your lawyer fires you. When your lawyer quits, that sings that sings a horror song.
Of a heated and at times emotional press conference where Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao blasted the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI.
I did not know there was going to be a press conference.
Tony Brass is a former federal prosecutor and is now a defense attorney specializing in these types of cases. But after her remarks, he says it became clear he could not represent the mayor.
It appears to me that her messaging was inconsistent with the way I intended to manage this case. I asked to withdraw as her counsel today.
Brass declined to comment on the specific messages in the mayor's press conference that concerned him, but she did imply the FBI search of her home could have been politically motivated.
The timing of all this is troubling, and we should all be concerned. I want to know why. The day following the qualification of a recall election, funded by some of the richest people in the Bay Area, seemed like the right day to execute a warrant.
She went on to claim it was her lack of political connections that allowed her to be a target of an investigation.
This wouldn't have gone down the way it did if I was rich. if I had gone to elite private schools, or if I had come from money.
Within hours of those remarks, Brass said he quit.
People come to me for a certain type of approach to a case, and this is not consistent with that. So this is her approach, and we'll see how that turns out.
The mayor did issue a statement about the change in counsel, saying, "Over the weekend, I obtained new legal counsel and thanked Mr. Brass for his counsel. I will share the name of my new counsel once agreements are finalized." We asked Brass about the mayor's statement. He said he couldn't get a hold of anyone with the mayor's office or even the mayor herself over the weekend. The first time he talked with them was today.
All right, Katie, thank you. Tonight, it's important to remember the mayor's house was not the only place that the FBI searched in Oakland that same day. Agents also raided a home on Viewcrest Court that is linked to Andy Duong. He's a member of the family that owns Cal Waste Solutions and has become a regular face in local, state, and even national politics. We also saw FBI and IRS agents taking boxes from Cal Waste Solutions offices along the city's waterfront. That company did release a statement to us last week saying they're confident investigators will find nothing wrong or unlawful. But we have reached out to the Duong family multiple times since then, and we still have not heard back. At the same time, federal authorities are still not saying anything at all and haven't told us what they are investigating or who is being targeted. Security analyst Jeff Harp, who spent years in the FBI, told us this tonight.
So we're going to look at another
won the
story.
Oakland mayor's race back in November.
Okay, so the purpose for me clicking off really quickly is because I don't want to belabor the time, but I want to try to string this together. What we're about to see right now just might be part and parcel of exactly what they're looking for, part of what they're looking for, because this case this is the last video on this particular case, but it's really important to add all of this to it. You just saw her basically say, I'm innocent. There's nothing wrong. I haven't done anything. I don't know what they're looking for. And then her lawyer says, I got to get out of here. And he ducked out. Now, let me also say, when I tried to look and find out what she was doing in Vietnam, I couldn't really find exactly what businesses she brought back to Oakland. But suffice it to say, when she went into Vietnam, somebody wasn't happy. Very seldom do you have any people from the United States government go to Vietnam and China doesn't have anything to say. It's very rare. So let's take a look at this right here as we look at what this man is about to say as it relates to his campaign.
Of 2022, it was a close one, only by 677 votes.
And in light of the FBI raid on her home last week, the ABC 7 News I-team has learned that the former Oakland council member who came in second, Lauren Taylor, is preparing his campaign staff to take another run at the office.
And Dan Noyes is here with that story that's new at 6. Dan.
Well, Julie and Amma, I contacted Lauren Taylor to ask about a controversial flyer mailed to Oakland homes in the days just before the vote. I've learned that flyer has connections to Mayor Sheng Tao and Andy Duong, whose home was also raided by federal agents.
Going into the election for mayor of Oakland, former council member Lauren Taylor felt strong. He was polling well and had the endorsements of the Oakland, San Francisco, and San Jose mayors at the time. Then he went for a ride on the ranked choice voting roller coaster. At one point, he was up by 3,587 votes, but after 10 rounds, he wound up losing by just 677 out of about 125,000 votes cast.
When you have a margin of 677 votes in an election, every small input change, etc., can have a huge impact on the outcome.
Taylor believes that a series of negative flyers, 168,000 of them mailed to homes just days before the vote, cost him the election.
Darkening my skin color, making my eyes red, like caricatures similar to the Willie Horton type of advertisements, it's going to making my eyes red, like caricatures similar to the Willie Horton type of advertisements. it's going to have an effect.
Bush and Dukakis on crime.
Taylor is talking about this television ad that had a major impact on the 1988 presidential campaign. George H.W. Bush against Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis.
He allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times.
In public, real estate agent and political activist Mario Juarez always said that he paid for the flyers and this anti-Lauren Taylor website. But Mayor Sheng Tao's former chief of staff tells me she watched Juarez approach Tao and Andy DeWong at this campaign event in October 2022, asking for more money for the flyers.
And that was the first time I ever saw Mario. And I was like, what is he doing here? And he straight up said he needed $25,000 to finish that mail piece. And I walked away because I knew that they shouldn't even be dealing with that or talking about that type of stuff.
Webb tells me that Andy DeWong, whose family owns California Waste Solutions, indicated he would take care of it and that he had already paid $50,000 for the project.
That violates spending limits, doesn't it?
Transparency laws, spending limits, and others.
Since 2019, Andy DeWong has been under investigation by the Oakland Public Ethics Commission, accused of using straw donors to funnel contributions to Sheng Tao and other politicians. DeWong's home was raided by the FBI on the same day as Mayor Tao's house. Still no official details on that investigation.
Frankly, there's a lot of impropriety happening within government, within politics, but it's also disheartening to know that there is this much built up in order to keep me, in order to keep my supporters, in order to keep Oakland from getting better leadership.
Mario Juarez also faces a felony charge for bouncing 3 checks to pay the postage on those flyers. His attorney tells me maybe a mismanagement of funds by his accountants, but no fraud. He added, I have no information that I can provide to you about his relationship with the DeWong family. But when the time is right, the truth about the pending charges and the nasty state of politics in Oakland will come out.
Maybe that's, let me make sure you can hear me. Yeah. Maybe that's the reason why the postal master was there. So let's see, there was the FBI, there was the IRS, and then I understand there was the postal master as well. So there are a bevy of things, but I do like what Mr. Rockwell or Ms. Rockwell says here. Is getting ballots from Vietnamese voters in Vietnam now legal for U.S. elections? It's a good question. I mean, if you would think that if there are people who live there and they're American citizens, which I don't, well, I guess, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Anybody in the chat know the answer to that question? You may want to answer it, but I think that's a good one. So here you see exactly what was going on. This is the culmination to the reason maybe why. And that's all we can do is speculate. But we are going to get into Dalton, and we are going to get into a couple of other 2 or 3 things. So let's just finish listening to this, and we'll go on with the next portion.
Business-wise, I would say that we did a good job.
Samari Johnson runs Butterfly Direct Marketing that printed all those flyers. He says he didn't pay attention to their message and that the $60,000 he lost in those bounced checks has been a serious blow to his business.
We want to get paid back, and we're not going to stop until we do. At some point, the truth has to come to light, and we're going to keep fighting.
Wait a
until
minute.
It does. At some point.
Wait a minute. You know, I watch a lot of this with you all for the first time. So not only did they have this man that we just saw create all of those heinous flyers, but they turned right around and wrote the man a bad check. Help here, Lord. Okay, let's finish. They turned right around. Not only did they have this man make those unattractive, dangerous flyers that inevitably did sort of sway everybody to vote the other direction, but they turned right around and wrote a bad check. Boy.
We find out who the liars are.
I contacted Andy DeWong's office for comment and sent the flyers when they asked, but have not heard back. In terms of the FBI investigation, it looks like we should all settle in for the long haul. A source at the Justice Department tells me that he has no basis to believe there will be any comment anytime soon on last week's activities. So it's going to be a while.
All right, you guys. We're going to close out on that one. We've got another one, and this is where we're leading up to dealing now with more of my commentary because again, what I needed to do was to just give you guys the foundation to state it's not just in those places, but these stories become even bigger when you look at the large picture, and that is the United States being under siege by mayors and attorneys, again, district attorneys like Fani, and AGs like those folks that are out there in New York. This is something that we covered the other day, but it's dealing with a contractor, just like the other situation was dealing with the trash people and all that other stuff in Riverdale. And this last situation that we saw, they were giving some type of landfill, promises and all this other stuff. Well, this is what we talked about the other day. It is the contractor that's implicated in Chicago area bribery case that surfaced in the federal investigation of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Now, at the urging of Tiffany Henyard, the village of Dalton did pay a great deal of money to the Suburban Construction Company, a suburban construction company that was linked to multiple corruption cases. She tried and did cajole them to give more than $200,000 in no bid, no contract work to replace senior homeowners' roofs. Now, I want to dig into that a little bit. Why? Because if you're getting these individuals who you know are crooked to deal with somebody and have them come out and do the roof, there are plenty of stories all around Chicago right now, as well as different parts of the United States, of roofing companies that go and prey on people and say, hey, that last storm we had, you got shingles everywhere. We're going to go on ahead and help you. We're going to give you a great price and allow you to use our services to fix your roof. Well, that's part and parcel of what's going on here. Let me give you a greater portion of the screen and go ahead and give you the story that leads into that. I want to show you, first of all, how not taking care of the money in the state or the city that you're supposed to allows people to get real greedy and pretty devious when it comes to trying to put the money back that's gone. The question is, where's the money? Where did you put it? Who's got it, baby? You don't know? Well, neither do the people. Let's start here first, knowing that that story exists, and we'll pick that up in a video. But before we do all of that, I want you to take a look at how they may have paid back some of the tickets with some of the money with some tickets that they had. So let's go ahead and take a look at this right here. And I want you guys to look at this as we will be back for the rest of the commentary dealing with that.
Only on 2 tonight, outrage in a different South suburban town, Dalton. Hundreds of people lined up to pay tickets they say they never should have gotten. As CBS 2's Jerron Terry explains, they were told to show up in court today or the fines would double.
Usually the trains are the loudest noise in South suburban Dalton. Yet on Thursday, the rumble came from hundreds in long lines outside the municipal court. How long were you in that line?
I can't even tell you, man. It was a long day.
Yeah, I sat down, I stood up. I've been in line for 2 hours.
They are all here after getting slapped with various citations all of a sudden by the city.
At first I thought it was $50. And then I had to put my glasses on.
Elizabeth Watson quickly saw an extra zero for a total sum of $500. And if she didn't stand in this line to appear in court,
after the 21st, I'll be on $1,000.
Which is why hundreds packed the municipal court.
That's a lot for a senior citizen, on a fixed income.
And these outrageous amounts is insane.
The vast majority of people slapped with the $500 ticket say they never parked.
So I walk in, get my pizza, it's already prepared. 30 seconds in and out. Run in and out. 5 days later, ticket in the mail.
Eric Hagerman's $500 ticket came for parking in a fire lane in the strip mall at 154th and Cottage Grove. But he never received a ticket on his car that day. He says police, who we spotted parked in the same private lot, just snapped pictures as proof of parking.
I got it 3 days later saying we have a picture of your car in the fire lane.
We heard the same story repeatedly.
So just imagine you put in an order to go get some supper, and then before you could even 3-4 days later, all of a sudden, Now you're getting a ticket and you're trying to figure out, well, where was I? How did I get a ticket? And then you remember, whoa, wait, we paid for our food. I ran right in and got it and came out. But here's the skinny. That's not a public road. That's a private parking lot that they're in.
Right to the grocery store. She got out and then I moved. Then I got a ticket like 2 weeks later, $500 ticket.
Keep in mind, this is not city property.
In a strip mall.
It's in a strip mall.
Yeah.
So are you left wondering why the city is giving out citations for a private property?
Yeah.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard did not respond when CBS 2 asked for an explanation.
This administration has cost us $5 million deficit. And now I believe that the mayor is trying to make up that deficit on the backs of the residents.
Dalton trustee Jason House says the tickets were not just for vehicles, but work permits too.
I've heard residents that have gotten fines for not getting a permit to install carpet.
And people waited well into the night to have their cases heard.
There's something strange going on.
In Dalton, Jermont Terry, CBS 2 News.
Okay. And so just like the last situation,
Venezuelan
and okay, we'll get onto that some other time. But just like the last situation where they tried to cover it all up, here goes some more stuff right here. Now, let me say this. When you see them going into areas that do not have anything to do with the city, they're going into private areas, that's saying, okay, we know we can accumulate a whole lot of money over there because that's not our area. So all we got to do is drive through there and wait, and we'll get somebody that's just going in, picking up something, going to pick up the dry cleaning, and we'll just run with it. That tells you that they ain't got no money. There's no money. They don't have anything, because if they did, they wouldn't be grasping at straws and abusing the citizenry. Let's take a look at the next story, and we're going to come right back for this one. But this is when the crap hit the fan, and she's still chuckling, thinking that everything is okay.
First on WGN, we have breaking news from the south suburbs. WGN Investigates has confirmed the FBI right now is carrying out a raid of Dalton Village Hall. It comes after months of WGN Investigates reporting on questionable conduct by Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who also serves as the Thornton Township Supervisor. The FBI now confirming in a statement that the FBI was conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in that area today. There is no further information available for release at this time. We understand from witnesses at the scene who were trying to conduct business at Dalton Village Hall today that they were turned away this afternoon when a group of plainclothes FBI agents at about 2:15 this afternoon entered Village Hall. We don't know what they're searching for or how long their search will take. We also don't know whether or not other court-authorized searches are taking place at other locations. We can tell you that Tiffany Henyard has been the focus of scrutiny for many months now for spending as well as transparency. You'll recall that a group of trustees opposed to Tiffany Henyard recently hired former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who's also a former federal prosecutor, to come in and investigate not only the village's finances, but other alleged transgressions. While we've been reporting on the questionable spending under Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, which include first-class travel, trips at the taxpayer's expense, meals, and more, we don't know what the FBI investigation is focused on. But importantly and significantly, this FBI search happening right now at Dalton Village Hall comes just days after Tiffany Henyard's top aide in both Dalton and Thornton Township, Keith Freeman, was indicted on one count of bankruptcy fraud. That was largely seen as a move by federal investigators to go after problems with his own reporting of his income in his personal bankruptcy case, potentially to get him to cooperate in other investigations. We don't know if that's happening or not, but what we can tell you right now is the FBI confirming to WGN Investigates that its agents are at Dalton Village Hall this afternoon as part of a court-authorized search. We'll bring you more information just as soon as we get it.
All right, now I want to pause there. I want to pause there because I know everybody keeps saying, why hasn't anybody done anything? Why did they bring in Lori Lightfoot? You know, why did they do that? Let me ask you guys a question. Let's just play a game for a moment. Do you think that it's possible? Let's take it from being in this case and let's just, I don't know, create our own fictitious story. Do you think that it would be possible in our own fictitious alleged story for the powers that be in any area to send in a watchdog to make the people stand down? So in other words, I'm going to get you to pretend like when you go over here that these people are calling you here. I want you to go in and I want you to get the ball rolling. So that way it'll make the citizenry stand down. Now that we've got them calm, we can continue to do what we're doing. Say, for example, it's a shoe warehouse. And the people on the inside of the shoe warehouse have been seeing all the management steal all the shoes and all the money. And they've been making screams and hollering to the higher ups and telling everybody there's something wrong. They're stealing all the shoes. We can't even take care of the customers because they're taking them all out the back door. And then the person that's at the district office is involved and they say, I tell you what, let's go ahead and send somebody. They're going to look for the supervisor of this area. And he's going to go in there and I want you to let him go and let him think that he's going to be able to get some things accomplished. Let them think we're sending help. So help is on the way, dear. Now they've got help, but they don't know that the only reason why they've got help is because the people who are higher up want this to continue and hope that people will just be quiet. Do you think that could happen? I'm just wondering. The next story that we're looking at dealing with this situation is the investigation portion. And that's the piece that I was telling you guys about a few minutes ago. I want you to take a look at this story because to me, this could be maybe the reason why there's been no help.
Our Weekend Watch shines a spotlight on government activity. And this morning, we're taking a closer look at the subpoena and ongoing investigation into Dalton Mayor and Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard. The Illinois Answers Project found that federal investigators are now seeking records from a suburban contractor after the village of Dalton paid them hundreds of thousands of dollars in no bid, no contract work in 2022. And here to talk more about this.
So that was the story that you and I just looked at a few minutes ago when I read that first paragraph to get you up to speed on this one. Okay, so let's get into the rest of this because this is very telling and quite concerning. Hold on, go ahead.
Is Illinois Answers investigative reporter Casey Toner. Good morning, Casey. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
Okay, so Casey, tell us a little bit about this subpoena and what you guys have found so far.
Well, we found that in 2022, at the urging of Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the village of Dalton paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in no bid, no contract work to a West suburban contractor named Oak Construction. And this is notable because Oak Construction is linked to multiple public corruption cases. And furthermore, Oak Construction is named in the subpoena in the ongoing federal investigation of Tiffany Henyard.
Oak Construction. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about what you have learned about this entity.
Okay, Oak Construction is based out of Summit, Illinois. And right now, the president of the organization had pleaded guilty to bribing a Cook County assessor's official in exchange for tax breaks. And his late father was also implicated in a bribery case involving former alderman Carrie Austin. And now, they're, at the center of this other investigation in the village of Dalton.
So in terms of the money that was spent, have you seen that? Was there work done by this company?
Now, I've seen photos of this work. I've seen testimonies from people involved in this work, saying that they liked what happened. But the issue is, without a contract, you don't know what the bill of goods is that you're buying. And furthermore, without bids, you can't compare that cost against what other people might have received for the same work.
Right. What type of work was this contractor supposed to do?
This was work for senior home.
Well, let me ask you guys this. We're going to break in, obviously, because we are doing commentary. If we're going to continue to use these folks' good work, we have to break in. But don't you think that having competitiveness in anything that you're paying for makes good sense? I mean, if you're getting something done on your own home, don't you get at least 3 different people to tell you what they're going to charge, 3 different estimates. And if you know the business that you're trying to hire somebody for, well, you know a good deal when you hear it, and maybe you'll just take the first one. I don't know, but it would appear to me that if I'm dealing with government funds or city funds, that I would want to get the best price. And I remember we were working on some projects, a client that I had, and I was a part of a team. And we were supposed to make sure that we had at least 3 estimates for government contracts. Some of them required 5. They had to bid on them, though, and they had to be blind bids. I wonder, don't they have some type of protocol? You guys let me know in the comments. Aren't they supposed to have a protocol in place in order for them to be able to have people bid on something? $200,000 to a company that more than likely was telling people, here, we're going to help you, and then we'll split the money with the people who sent us.
Owners to
Allegedly.
replace their roofs and their windows. And we showed after the Dalton Village Board didn't want to pay for this work because they never authorized it, the same contractor threatened to put liens on the homes of these senior homeowners.
Really? Okay. Wow. All right. So where do things stand right now?
Okay, so let's see this. Now, you guys were not authorized to be in the city. You weren't authorized to do this work. But now, not only were you not authorized to do it, but because these people just decided, no, I'm not paying you this money. This is wrong. Now I'm going to put a lien on your home, Mr. Elderly, Ms. Elderly. So what does that do? That opens up a lot of property to be snatched by these poor old people. These are the individuals that get taken advantage of almost routinely after there's been a storm, after there's been a hurricane or a tornado or even an earthquake, depending upon the area. It doesn't necessarily have to be the roof. It can be the foundation. But what they're doing is they are attacking the people who are very vulnerable. Children and elderly are vulnerable. And to stand back and know that this is an opportunity to happen based on this company's past and based on the experience that others have had with this company, knowing that in a small town, bad news travels fast, you would actually allow your people to be prey to this type of terrible behavior, very terrible behavior.
In terms of the investigation into Mayor Henyard?
Our story for Illinois Answers noted that this investigation is intensifying. Federal subpoenas have been issued to the Village of Dalton. They've been issued to Thornton Township. And furthermore, a member of Tiffany Henyard's inner circle, Keith Freeman, who's the village manager of Dalton and a paid senior advisor at the township, was indicted earlier this year for allegedly committing bankruptcy fraud. And this is a person who is tied very closely to the government and political affairs of Tiffany Henyard.
So, I mean, obviously a lot going on here. And I feel like every week we're learning more information, new information about, the situation in Thornton Township and in Dalton. So when you think about specifically this subpoena and the federal investigation, what happens next at this point?
A process like this can take a long time. It can take months, it can take years. But right now it looks like they're in the fact gathering stage. They're gathering information on the things that occurred under the watch of Tiffany Henyard. And I wouldn't be surprised if they've started doing interviews soon and, taking those next steps and putting those pieces together.
Okay. Casey Toner, thank you so much for coming in and talking about it. Obviously, we'll have you back as this continues. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And you can read more about the federal investigation into Tiffany Henyard at illinoisanswers.org. We're also posting a link on abc7chicago.com and our ABC7 Chicago News app. And we've got more news coming up right after the break.
So my main point to showing all of that is the fact that, yes, they are taking advantage of people. Not only are they taking advantage of people, but it's done in such a predatory fashion. To know that the elderly are trusting you and to know that they have really not a lot of help. When you go to rest homes, you find that there are elderly people that are put in those places and their family doesn't even come to check on them. Say, for example, a mother or father, elderly, their children have all grown and gone on. They don't live in that small town, so they don't have anybody checking on their paperwork or checking on who's coming to offer them something. People like this are the ones who are generally taken advantage of by phone scams. thinking that a relative is taken and put in jail, and now you got to go and send all this money. And they do it because they don't have the wherewithal to think that somebody would do something like this, that there would be somebody that's running a scam on them. All throughout the United States right now, there are circumstances and situations exactly like this, where people take advantage of those who cannot defend themselves. And that, to me, speaks volumes about the character of these people who are put in place. This is the reason why I'm always saying, make sure that whenever somebody is put in place, that you know who they are. Do your background on them. Pull them up if you can. And if you get that gut feeling that something's not right, more than likely, my friends, you're absolutely right. There's an investigation that was started with Mayor Eric Adams, and it was dealing with the use of, I believe they went in, you guys may remember this, they went into his home or went into his offices and they started to look through stuff, right? So here is a follow-up, because what it looks like is, let's just take a gander. Let me get over here and let you guys see this, because what it looks like is that China is calling in some markers. This story says the FBI probe in NYC Mayor Eric Adams' use of private email addresses, trips to China report. All right. So this was published June 25th of this year. Now, this is a video showing when they went into his house a while back, I believe, because I saw what looked like Christmas bows on the front door. So is this a house he hardly uses? I don't know. But this right here shows it. They're going in and out. Let me shroud that sound. But they're going in and out of the house. And it looks like it could be a show. But again, you know, you guys, I don't really know what to trust anymore these days. But let's go ahead and see what they're doing. Now, that doesn't look very raidish, but it says here that the federal authorities are investigating New York City Mayor Eric Adams' use of a private email address. Private email addresses. And how records from 7 trips he made to China have disappeared. Wow. 7 trips to China. They're gone. Can't find them. All right. The New York Post, citing a source that's close to the probe, said the prominent New York City mayor used 3 private email addresses to arrange his dealings in China on his 7 trips to the foreign country. At least one of the trips, per the outlet, were partly funded by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. Private email accounts cannot be traced on New York City government servers, meaning that key details such as who paid for the trips and with whom he met remain concealed. There he is. I didn't do it. Who? Me? I don't know. I'm not the one. I didn't do it. Right. The outlet said that Adams and one of his top aides and director of Asian affairs since he took office in 2022, Winnie Greco, used the non-official emails between 2014 and 2021 when he was a Brooklyn borough president. So he wasn't even doing anything right then. So was he the mayor at that time? It was immediately unclear what federal government is seeking to find, what the government is seeking to find from Adams' trips to China, the Post said. The FBI declined to comment Of course they did. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to tell, and they're not supposed to show their hand. But in a statement to Fox News, a spokesperson for Adams' office called for a more diligent search by authorities in regard to the allegations of missing documentation, saying, quote, "Our general counsel just sent a letter to the Brooklyn Borough President's Office General Counsel asking them to correct the record because they misstated there were no available records and to conduct a more diligent search because it obviously wasn't done here," they said. The probe into Adams' China trips comes after the FBI raided Greco's home in the Bronx in February. The City Department of Investigations opened an inquiry into Greco last November after a report from the city, a local news site, that raised questions about her political fundraising and whether she used her position in the administration to obtain personal benefits, including free housework from a city employee. Now, do you guys remember when a specific chauffeur, was working for one Dianne Feinstein in Northern California for years? Let's continue. It goes on to say the initial probe is believed to be focused at least in part on whether Adams' campaign conspired with Turkish government to receive illegal campaign contributions from foreign sources funneled through straw donors, according to a warrant reported on the New York Times. That's exactly what we just got through listening to, where they talked about straw donors. So you got the same person using 12 different names. You got one person, and that one person is giving money, but they're Betty Rubble, they're Barney Rubble, they're Fred Flintstone, they're Wilma Flintstone, they're Dino, they are, they're Bam Bam, they're Pebbles, they're all of them. But it's one person that's moving the money and giving the money. So Adams previously deflected questions about the investigation into his alleged conspiracy with the Turkish government, noting that he had not been officially accused of wrongdoing. Quote, "Our administration will always follow the law, and we will always expect our employees to adhere to the strictest ethical guidelines," a spokesperson for the mayor previously told Fox News Digital in a statement from February. They continue with, "As we have repeatedly said, we don't comment on matters that are under review, but will fully cooperate with any review underway." So we see that there's a lot going on right now all over our beautiful country, a place that was wonderful once, a place that you could raise a family and be able to do it in peace. Let me tell you something. We're under siege. This is war, and it's war from the inside out. It's the only way you could really get us on our own soil. Because unlike Australia, we still got our brothers and their cousins, all 6 of them, hanging out waiting in case somebody do something. For Headlines with a Voice, I'm Felicia Lockhart, and I want to tell each and every one of you, thank you so very much for hanging out with me this past hour and 8 minutes. It's 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 40 seconds. And I appreciate you, each and every one of you. You guys make sure that you tune in next week, because our next show next week is going to be a real good one. I really, really believe that you guys are going to like it. I honestly do. So we're going to go out of here, leaving you guys with a nice little commercial from our friend and my friend. Did y'all get your barbecue yet? You let me know. Until we see each other again, I want you to make sure that you take care of yourself, because ain't nobody else going to do it. And then after you take care of yourself, you can reach around and take care of somebody else. But the one most important thing I want you to do, big baby, is take care of my friend, because my friend is you. Peace. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best." But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping